Yes, 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 yes. We are here. We are here. We are here. And we are more than happy to expand upon certain phrasing and comments that were made in what you would reference as the previous chapter of this book. And so, as we are and always do take into account and consideration for the audience of this, those who will be reading this work, you can say that this expression is specifically tailored for the intake and the understanding of all of those who will be reading this. And so, as many of you have a very colored and creative perception of what the creation and evolution process of humanity has been on this planet, we are saying it would be a very extended point of this conversation to fully explain all of the unfoldings of experiences that have happened here on this planet Earth. It would also take a very long time to express and explain the many different ways in which humanity, with its very limited understanding of the experience here, have tried to explain this in many different fashions and capacities. You see this in many of your religious texts, and you also see it in the works of your fiction, and you also see it in what you call your scientific explorations. And while it could be that many of these do have bits and pieces of the story in place, it is often obfuscated and distorted through the passage of what you consider time, through the limited human mindsets that are expressing this, and through the limited understanding and perception that you all have of your reality experience here. And so suffice it to say that while much of this information has been expressed by us in other formats, such as in much of the works of Dolores Cannon and also many others who have deeply dedicated themselves to this process of understanding and explanation, what we are wanting to focus on here today is the question of the vehicle, asking us to expand upon the use of the terms of infection, microbacteria, and contamination. He is also wanting an expression and an overview of the shift that humanity is currently going through for you, the readers, and also a connection point between those two things. And so we are more than happy to offer this. And so at a certain point in the evolution of this planet, there was introduced accidentally by a visiting collective of beings a certain microorganism. And we express this loosely as both a bacteria and a fungus and infection. And these are just labels that we use to put these things into a more identifiable concept for you all. As the most accurate expression would be a microorganism. And so, as this microorganism did take root and gain a hold on your planet, it did begin to integrate and affect the other beings that were participating here. And when we are saying beings, know that we are referring to the plant life, the soil, and biological elements of this planetary expression. And so while this integration did take place over a long period of experience, eventually it did find its way into the human biological system, what we do lovingly refer to as your vehicles, as truly all what you would refer to as biological organisms have some expression of a conscious awareness, what many refer to as a soul. And so this did essentially upgrade the organisms and vehicles that it did come into contact with in such a way as to upgrade or expand upon the way that conscious awareness was expressed through these organisms and vehicles. And so, while it was expressed in the previous chapter that while this was not our intended expression for this experience that you call Earth, it was understood and foreseen on some level that this was a probability. And so you could say that it did take some process of this organism evolving into what you consider a fungus in order to come to our awareness that an update was needed to the Earth experience. As for much of the evolution of this planet and its expressions, and all of the different soul fractals that are here, you could say it was more of a free range system. What many of you would call your open world video games today would be a very similar analogy to this. However, we would make an update in saying that if you were to take the expression of an open world video game and simply take out all of the missions and quests and just have it be an experience for you to be able to explore and express yourself in different ways, this would be very accurate for what was unfolding on the planet. However, with the introduction of this fungus, this microorganism, and the integration of it with humanity and others, we did recognize an opportunity here for a great evolutionary transcension. And well, essentially, this was always the goal for the Earth expression, an evolutionary transcension. Essentially, this did just change the process around. As for what you would consider a vast segment of time, conscious awareness beings, souls, have been expressing themselves in what you call the third dimension in order to have a vast range of experiences and expressions. And yet, with the limited nature and the makeup and foundations of this reality expression, a great amount of density was created. And we would define density as the lower range of emotions, the expressions of fear and hatred and resentment, resistance, worry, anger, violence, abuse and control, hierarchy, suppression, slavery, the monetary systems, the controls of the government and the educational systems. And these are not just inventions that have been created on your planet. As for those of you who have a greater awareness of your many lifetime experiences and expressions, you will understand that many of these systems have been cultivated and played out in a vast array and a range of experiences. And so the creation and cultivation of this density did essentially initiate our decision to engage upon the creation of life contracts for the individuals expressing on this planet. This phrase has essentially been updated to express as life design. And we do appreciate, and we know many others do appreciate this as well, as contract does not quite give an accurate description and perception of what these designs are. And so, to put it very simply, you could think of it as the design of the whole third dimension and all of its experiences and all of the expressions of souls. And then you could narrow it down to the design of planetary experiences. You could say solar system experiences on top of that, but for the purposes of this conversation, we will say planetary design, the design of the conscious awareness of the planet and all of those who are participating there. Then there is specifically the life design of the soul of the planet. And then there is specifically the life designs of all of those beings who are participating on the planet, and the interwoven interplays of all of those life designs as you are collectively and collaboratively working here together as a whole of individual expressions of the original conscious awareness, what many of you would express as God or Source. And so, while we will not go into vast, great details about this and the many expressions of that original conscious awareness that have brought us to the point of humanity, but suffice it to understand that all things are created within the design, the understanding, and the expression of that original conscious awareness. All of the beings that are participating, designing, architecting, and overseeing all experiences are expressions, you could say fractals, of this original conscious awareness. And so this is essentially a ladder down of fractal expressions from the original conscious awareness to other sets of beings in other dimensional realities, moving all the way down into this physical reality expression where you find yourselves reading from. And so know that you are fully connected to not only all of these beings, but also the original conscious awareness. You are, in fact, a limited expression of this original conscious awareness. Here, participating in the third dimension, in order to have experiences, all of the experiences, in all the different expressions, in order to find growth and evolution, expansion of the conscious awareness expression that you are. And so this is where the idea of reincarnation does deeply come into play, as it is one soul fractal that you are expressing yourself as in many different forms and experiences and expressions. And so you could say it is the designer of the game, stepping into a veil of forgetfulness in order to fully participate in the design that they have created, in the artwork. in the creation. And yet, the purpose of this is always to grow and expand. The understanding and the desire of the original conscious awareness is for all of itself and the parts of itself to find growth and expansion and evolution. And so, from its perspective, all of this was in the design from the very beginning. Even the introduction of this infection and the contamination of the beings here, in order for a different range and expression of experiences, in order to bring about the closure and culmination of all other third dimensional experiences, in order to bring a vast level of evolution or transcension to those who are experiencing their life expressions here. And so, what we are expressing when we express the shift, the evolution, the transcension, is the movement of conscious awareness from this dimension, this density, into a higher realm, a more expanded expression of reality. And many have brought through this information in order to bring clarity to what this event is. And you are seeing it now unfold on your planet with vast awakenings of the conscious mind and of the conscious awareness. The soul of all is seeking evolution. And so evolution is coming. The movement beyond into a different level of reality, into a different range of reality expressions, into a different form of physical bodies for you to be able to express and experience a different range of lifetimes, a different range of expressions, a different expression of your true selves. And so this is why through much of this book, we do encourage you to remember and have relationship with yourselves, as we are guiding you to recognize the soul integrated within the body, and what exactly that is, and why exactly that is here. And so this is why, our dear friends, our dear brothers and sisters, our dear aspects of self, as we do use these labels to express our affection for you, and yet truly that is what you are. You are parts of us, just as we are parts of the original conscious awareness. And so the vehicle is expressing that he feels perhaps this is getting a bit too convoluted and off track for those who are reading this, but we are saying and reminding him that we too read and perceive all of those who are reading. And so for some who do not have an understanding of this, for some who are feeling this is quite confusing and intense, this is an opportunity for them that we are giving to expand the mind, to recognize how closed-minded they are to new information and expanded expressions of the reality that they are living in. For others, this is having a deep, deep draw and familiarity. They are feeling as if they are hearing something they have waited to hear their whole lives. And for a few, they are completely shutting this information out. They are denying and discarding it, as if it is just some fanciful invention of the human mind. And we're saying that is all right, that is purposeful as well, as all is significant and purposeful. And so, For those of you who have made it through reading this book to this point, who are still open minded and curious, wanting to grow and expand and heal, we are offering this as an opportunity for you to find solace, to recognize that all is going according to plan, to recognize that you are supported and guided and held, that you are recognized and seen and honored, as you are all, knowing or unknowing, walking with the rest of your human brothers and sisters to the awakening and transcension point. You have lived through much. You have all had a vast array and a range of lifetime experiences, whether you remember them or not. And many of those are coming into play in this lifetime here that you are experiencing on Earth. And so, while we are walking with you, so are many other versions of yourselves. As you are finding growth, expansion, the completion, the evolution. We are saying with much love to you all, with much gratitude and much recognition, keep growing, keep expanding. Do not close your hearts and your minds to love. Do not close your hearts and your minds to yourselves, to your fellow humans, or to us. We love you deeply, and we are here. That is all.